Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Fed Up, your no BS nutrition podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Marie, certified personal trainer and nutrition specialist, working with clients since 2014. After swimming up diet culture's bullshit stream for so many years, I am fed the absolute up with how miserable it's making people feel when we are supposed to be getting healthier. This podcast is here to help you gain your sanity back so you can stop yo-yoing once and for all and finally learn how to trust yourself so you can enjoy food again without fear or shame while still getting to your health goals. My aim is to teach you how to detect the BS in not just the food and diet industries, but in all realms of life, because I know that, like me, we are all just a little fed up. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to share with you today what I have only really recently narrowed down to what I have named my 5 food fundamentals. And these fundamentals are not unique to me. I did not pull them out of thin air. I did not discover this magical secret sauce. So sorry if you hear this tractor going by right now. I do live on a farm. We're just gonna pause for a moment. Okay, so these 5 food fundamentals are not something that nobody's ever heard of before. However, if you are so immersed in social media, quote unquote, popular diet culture, these might come as a shock to you because it does completely contrast a lot of the information that you hear out there. If you follow some actual registered dietitians, some food neutral or some eating disorder specialists, they may have talked about this because what we look at in dietetics school is how do we actually get people to eat healthier? And contrary to popular belief, it is not by enforcing these really strict food rules over never eat this, never eat at this time, don't eat food this way, don't eat food in this order, etc., etc. These overarching food principles that we're going to go over today have nothing to do with what you're actually eating, but it will help you make better conscious decisions and more intentional decisions about your nutrition that will affect what you're choosing to eat. But again, these quote unquote rules or principles or fundamentals, as I have coined them, because I didn't want them to seem like another list of rules you have to follow. However, fundamentals, as we define them, forming a necessary base or core of central importance. So how I look at these 5 food fundamentals is when you understand how important these are and when you can adopt them into your daily lifestyle and how you're choosing to put food on your plate, it can end up really lessening a lot of the stress that goes along with trying to eat healthier and quote unquote dieting. But it also helps you enjoy food better, have more self-compassion when you do eat quote-unquote unhealthy foods. We'll go into that. So what I have looked at here is over 10 years of training people, talking with people about their nutrition, people have tried so many ways to improve the way they eat. And it always boils down to what they're eating, and that's what they focus on. It's very hard to do. I'm not calling you a liar or calling you, weak-willed. I'm saying that as humans, it is incredibly difficult in the environment we live in with the food access we have and the convenience we have for that food access. It's very difficult to discern what is healthy, what is not healthy, and then stick to that. So this is what we're going to be talking about today is here are 5 of Kayla Marie's food fundamentals that hopefully will help you eat better without feeling insane. So number 1, food neutrality. There are no good or bad foods. Nutrients have no morality. Number 2, addition, not restriction. We find ways to add nutrition to a diverse diet where no foods are off limits. Number 3, no one size fits all. Convenience and adherence look different for everyone's lifestyle. Food fundamental number 4, food facts, not fear. Evidence-based information and principles to ensure effective behavioral change while keeping our sanity. And number 5, food is more than fuel. It's soul. We eat for more than just nutrients and calories. We also eat for pleasure, culture, and love. And that's a beautiful thing. So let's get into each of these in a little more detail. Number 1, food neutrality. Neutrality, it's a hard word to say. There are no good or bad foods. Nutrients have no morality. Now, when I say this, do I mean that all foods have equal and the same nutrients? No. Foods contain different amounts of different nutrients. Calories, macro, and micronutrients. Macro being your proteins, carbs, and fats. Micro being your vitamins and your minerals. Now, the danger of having this, what we call dichotomous food thought, when you think of some foods as good, some foods as bad, some foods as healthy, some foods as not healthy, what we end up doing is we adopt that label ourselves when we do eat that food. So if you think that dessert is bad, when you do engage in eating the dessert, you end up feeling bad because the food is bad. So I'm bad for eating the food. And a lot of times this leads directly into self-sabotage or shame-based eating. So when you end up binge eating and you're not even enjoying the food anymore, but you're going to start the diet tomorrow. So maybe you're thinking in your head, well, maybe I should just finish this all today. My diet's already ruined. I'll start tomorrow. Or you're thinking, well, this food's really unhealthy, so I need to eat super healthy tomorrow to make up for it. Instead, we can begin to look at food a little more objectively, and some foods have different nutrients. Cake has different nutrients than broccoli. What I like to do is, this is really helpful for children and adults alike, to be able to understand that you can't only eat cake all of the time, every meal of every day, right? You're missing some nutrients. You're missing your protein and micronutrients. You're just getting sugar, carbs, and fat. And you're getting a lot of calories, right? All that stuff. You can't just eat cake, but you also can't only eat broccoli, right? There's things missing from broccoli that you need from other foods. So when we talk about in other food rules or other food fundamentals, I should say, having a diverse diet, you'll see that we need diversity because not one food contains all of the nutrients that we need. So when you look at it like that, and when you say, okay, well, sometimes you eat broccoli because of the micronutrients that it provides, the fiber, this, that, and the other, and sometimes you eat cake in appropriate settings, yay. And you lose the morality that's attached to those foods, then you end up less stressed, less guilty, less shame when you eat those foods. Because let's face it, most likely, most of us are going to be eating that food. There are some of you who have cut out desserts and joy and pleasure from your life, and you've been living that way for years, and it works for you, fine. I'm not going to tell you to reintroduce sugar. However, there's a lot of us who really enjoy some of those foods, and the more we try to cut them out because we think of them as bad, the more we end up indulging them, binging them, feeling guilty because now we're the bad person and we have no control over them, because even though you're labeling that food as bad, you're putting it up on a pedestal. You're making it special. Make it the same as broccoli. Okay. I don't quite like, some nutritionists will say fuel foods or fun foods. I also don't like that terminology because broccoli is not fuel if you are about to run a marathon. You do not want to eat a bowl of broccoli. You would maybe actually want to prefer a Pop-Tart or a applesauce packet, right? You want simple, plain carbohydrates, simple carbs to digest, not complex, fibrous carbohydrates that are hard to digest. You want it readily available. So again, is it better to have broccoli or a donut before a workout? That's context. Am I saying to have a donut as a complete breakfast every single day? No. But if you had a donut for breakfast, it's not the end of the world. Maybe pair it with some other things, which is what leads us into food fundamental number 2, addition, not restriction. We find ways to add nutrition to a diverse diet where no foods are off limits. So when you are having that donut for breakfast, maybe add a protein shake or some Greek yogurt, a banana, a bowl of fruit, something that's going to also add more nutrition. And yes, that does add more calories. But we're not focusing on eating the least amount possible to get to our goals. We are actually trying to eat the most amount possible to still get to our goals. So a lot of people, let's just use weight loss as an example because that's a popular goal. If your goal is weight loss, you should be in a caloric deficit. That means eating less than what you're eating now. What some people interpret that as is eat as little as possible. But then you end up so hungry that you overeat anyway, either every day or every week or every other day or whenever you do get quote unquote off the diet or you binge or you just eat a regular frickin' meal, right? So sometimes you detox or you restrict all week long and then you're like, okay, I've been really good so I can eat today because it's Saturday and I'm going to have a big meal. Well, now you've just completely pushed your calories over budget anyway. So we're not looking at eat as little as possible. We're looking at add in satiating nutrition so that you stop mindlessly snacking, you stop binging, you stop yo-yoing, you stop falling off the diet because it's impossible to stick to because you're starving all the time. When you're starving, by the way, you have no control over a lot of your emotion, a lot of your willpower. So you think you need more discipline, but the less you eat, the less discipline you're going to have. So what I usually try to tell people is the more you add in, especially having more structured meals, having more full meals, overall, for a lot of people, the less you eat because you're more regulated. You also can end up this is a little bit of a misnomer, but when we talk about metabolism, okay, there's no such thing as starvation mode, being that you gain weight. Starvation mode means you are starving, you are dying, you are losing weight. Look at anybody who is actually starving, they lose weight. Malnutrition is a real thing. If you are not eating enough and yet you're overweight, gaining weight, not losing weight at all, right? You're still eating at maintenance over the week or longer term. It's not a day-to-day cycle, it's the week. So if you are somebody who you're trying to lose weight, you want to be in a caloric deficit, and you end up adding avocado and pasta and protein and all these healthy fats in addition to what you're already eating, or you're still eating in a caloric surplus, you are not going to lose weight. So when I say add nutrition, add, not restrict, whether or not your goal is to be or stay in a deficit or not, that is a different goal. You can set that up, but you still want to hit your caloric range. So what some people will say is I'll put them at a calorie range of 1,800 to 2,000. Let's use that as an example. So they want to be under that. They're like, well, I'm eating 1,400. No, okay. I want you to eat 1,800 because what ends up happening is you might think you're only eating 1,400. People oftentimes underestimate what they're eating by about 1,000 calories. So if you're thinking I'm eating 1,200 calories, but I'm not losing weight, you're probably eating more like 2,200 naturally. It's not because you're a liar. It's very, very normal to do this. It's very hard to be super accurate, even for dietitians. So when you can add more food, you can be really honest with what you're eating, you put everything into the nutrition tracker, blah, 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 you actually hit your 2,000 mark. Now you're losing weight because you know you're actually hitting the 2,000 mark rather than thinking you're hitting the 1,200 calorie mark, but you're actually over that. Maybe you're only tracking some days and then you don't track on the weekends because it's exhausting because, again, you're starving yourself, you're restricting yourself, you're having to use so much willpower that by the end of the night, the end of the week, you have none left. Instead, let's add more food. If that applies to, again, if adding more food makes you gain weight, this might not work for you, but we still want to make sure that we are either losing weight or maintaining our weight by the most food possible. If someone comes to me, they're still wanting to lose weight and they tell me they've been eating 1,300 calories every day for the last year, there's nowhere to go down. There's nowhere to move from there. Okay, so metabolic adaptation is a real thing, not starvation mode. What that means is every time you put your body into a deficit to lose weight, whether successful or not, your body learns to conserve energy. Contrary to what might make the most sense, if you have a super athletic person with a lot of muscle mass and you have somebody who's very sedentary with a lot of adipose tissue or fat tissue, who is the most efficient at using energy? It is actually the person with more adipose tissue, because your body learns that fat doesn't need a lot of calories. It doesn't need a lot of energy. So when you, for example, move your arm, say it usually takes about 10 calories. If you are constantly yo-yo dieting, now moving your arm only takes about 8 calories. And they don't know how your body really does this, but it learns how to conserve. It learns how to do the same motion with less calories. If you are somebody who has a lot of muscle, you're well fed, you eat a lot of food, you have a quote unquote what people call a fast metabolism, you move your arm, it takes 20 calories. So when you have somebody who has a quote unquote fast metabolism, what you actually see is a less efficient energy body. Because your body's like, oh, I have all this energy. Our muscles require a ton of energy to even exist, which means we need a lot of energy, which means we can use a lot of energy because you're giving us a lot of energy. This is where the starvation mode has been misinterpreted. It is called metabolic adaptation or thermogenic adaptation, something like that. If you are well fed, you have muscle, you eat regularly, you are not starving yourself, your body learns, or your body knows, or your body responds in a way that allows it to use that energy. So I digress. Let's move on to number 3. No one size fits all. Convenience and adherence look different for everyone, so we find what works for your lifestyle. What this means is, if you listen to our last episode, is the best diet is the one you can stick to, which is why we all suck at dieting. No one-size nutrition fits all. If you are a busy working mom of 3, you're a single mom of 3, you're a working night shift nurse, you're in the military, you're a teacher who's in the classroom all day long, plus summer school, plus after school, plus whatever it may be, versus you're a 20-year-old bodybuilder who works out at the gym and has 2 classes to attend and no job. Or you're a single 30-year-old man who has a normal 8-to-5 job and no children, nobody to take care of, just himself and I, right? That is very different, and it's going to require different plans. So when you try to adopt somebody else's diet, oh, so-and-so did 75 hard, and this is all the things required for that program. That program can work for somebody who already has some structure in place, already is maybe working out pretty regularly, and they're probably not a night shift nurse. I mean, maybe there are night shift nurses who have done 75 hard. I'm just saying there are people that can begin that program and do really well, and there are other people who try to force themselves to do that program and wonder why they can't make it past a week. So why can't you just stick with it? Why can't you just do better? White knuckle your way through this plan? Because it's not human nature. You're not a failure. You're just choosing a plan that is setting you up for failure. So what I try to do with my one-to-one nutrition counseling is look at your lifestyle, look at your time management, your energy flow. Are you a morning person, a night person? Do you have children? What does your household look like? Who's responsible for grocery shopping? What is your daily habitual movements? Are you somebody who wakes up and cooks breakfast in the morning? Okay. If you're not, if you're a snoozer and you're running out the door, we are not going to create a plan that has you cooking a whole omelet in the morning, because it's just not going to happen. You might do it the first week because you're all gung-ho about this new nutrition plan you're starting, and then it sucks. And then you start hitting the snooze alarm again. And then you start going through the Starbucks drive-thru again. Instead, what if it just means, okay, we need something microwavable in the morning. We need something grab and go, not cooked in the morning. We need it to fit your lifestyle and your movement, especially at first. We want to build from easy to hard. So sometimes I'll give my clients homework that is almost seemingly too easy. And I say to that, good. I want you to be able to do it, to be able to build up your self-confidence and what we call your self-efficacy, your ability and your belief in your ability to do the thing. We want to build that up first. So if we say, okay, we're going to start eating breakfast. If I tell you to cook a whole omelet and you keep not cooking the omelet, you think you're failing. And then I, as a bad coach, could tell you, well, you just need to get up earlier. You just need to go to bed earlier. You just need to do it. Well, guess what? Some people have tried their whole lives to be a morning person and it's just not gonna happen. How about you work with them? Hey, you're up really late at night. How about you cook breakfast then and it's ready for you in the morning? Or how about we find something that doesn't require cooking, right? So again, we want it to fit you, what's working for you, your preferences. That's another thing. I'm just going to briefly touch on that. Who am I, nutritionist or not? Who am I with my preferences, my lifestyle, my upbringing, my nutritional history and past is very different than someone else's nutritional history and past. If you are a vegan, a vegetarian, if you're somebody who hates carbohydrates, I'm sorry, I don't know how to feed you. I mean, yes, I do know how to feed you, but I am not someone who's going to give you a direct meal plan because what I think about meal plans is how I eat. And who am I to whitewash your nutrition? Who am I to put my own economic privileges or disadvantages on your nutrition? Some people can afford and love to spend a lot of money on groceries and high-end products. Other clients need to shop at the dollar store and Walmart, and they need to be budgeting, or they're on WIC, or they have, that's food stamps and whatnot, or they need to go to the food bank, or most of those clients are probably not hiring a private nutritionist, but there are a lot of people who, again, maybe they're a night shift worker and they're having lunch at 3 a.m. Okay, what's open? What's available? What do they need to be bringing to the hospital? What's in the hospital cafeteria? What's in the drive-thru that they can eat a couple times a week? Because again, telling them to never go through the drive-thru is not going to work for a night shift nurse who maybe likes even eating McDonald's once a week or twice a week, okay? I'm not going to shit on them. We're going to find a way to make that work for them. So let's move on. Number 4, food facts, not fear. Evidence-based information and principles to ensure effective behavioral change while keeping your sanity. Most diets, most TikToks, most reels, most media magazines since the frickin' 50s, most health advice out there that has to do with nutrition is fear-mongering. It's bullshit. It's not nuanced enough. It's not evidence-based enough, meaning it's just extrapolated data, or it's, mouse data that isn't really being interpreted properly, but it's a headline now. You are getting bombarded with so much BS, hence the podcast. This is why we are here. This honestly should be number 1, but I made it number 4. None of these are really in priority or in order because this is honestly one of the hardest things to unlearn. We're taught that a lot of foods are bad for us, that a lot of processing is bad for us, that a lot of ingredients are bad for us, that if you don't know how to pronounce an ingredient, it's bad for us. Go back to episode 1 where we talk about the naming of chemicals and why you don't have to be afraid to eat a food that you don't know how to pronounce. Anyway, we don't do the diets here because they're not based on facts. They're based on trying to make you afraid of that product in order to buy a different product. So you might think the organic industry is here to make you healthier. You have to remember, we'll have a whole episode on organic, but just real quick. Most people, if you ask, what does organic produce mean? Farming, what does it mean when you have an organic apple versus a conventional apple. Most people think it has to do with pesticides and has to do with organic has no pesticides. And that is 100% false. It's straight mis or disinformation if you want to say it's purposeful. Organic products, organic farming does use pesticides. The difference is the pesticides have to come from a natural source, which we will talk about that appeal to nature fallacy, because just because copper is a natural element, by the way, so is arsenic, so is iron, which we all talk about how those are so terrible for us, and yet organic products can use those elements in their pesticides because it comes from the earth. But they're less regulated, less tested, less safe, less effective. Anyway, we're not going to buy organic produce for double the price because we think it's pesticide-free, because it's not. That's just wrong. Instead, if you want to choose organic produce because of a different reason that is based on truth, have at it. If you just like to show off your money and show off to everybody that you can afford to shop at Whole Foods, have at it. It has nothing to do with your health or nutrition or even good economic or good environmental farming practices, by the way, because again, organic farming yields less, and that is bad for the environment. We can get into that. Again, whole new episode on organics coming up. However, what we're looking at is, wait, how does this actually apply to my life? How does this information apply to, humans? Because a lot of what you look at is studies that were done on mice or studies that were done with an ingredient injected straight into the mouse, 10,000 times the dosage that you would ever find in humans eating an apple or even 5 apples a day or even 10 apples a day. So again, we look at the facts here. We're not fear-mongering. I'm not going to be creating a fancy podcast about how you should be afraid of this. Oh, but buy my supplement. Notice that always fucking comes next, okay? Again, I'm not fear-mongering here. We're fear-mongering the fear-mongers because I have nothing to sell you besides my services of counseling or whatever, but I have no supplements here. I have nothing to say, don't eat real produce. Drink my greens powder because that way you're not getting pesticides. Okay. I digress. We'll move on from this because this is what the whole podcast is about. Food facts, not fear. Numero 5. Food is more than fuel. It's soul. We eat for more than nutrients and calories. You are allowed to enjoy food. It's culture. It's family. It's love. I hate this whole process of, well, you just eat for fuel, for energy. Just eat what you got to eat and then you move on. Okay, you live in a boring life. We have taste buds. We have the ability to interpret smells and tastes that are intimately connected with our memory. There is something about chocolate chip cookies that reminds everyone of their grandmother. Like, it is a beautiful thing. There's a reason we call certain foods comfort food or soul food. There's a reason why you go home to mama's cooking. And I freaking hate when people, especially of different cultures, are like, well, I just go home and my mom cooks all these, they cook menudo and they cook mebonnagas and they cook all this and salsa and all this stuff that is just so unhealthy. Okay, I'm sorry, salsa is vegetables. I don't care if it's blended or pulsed or chopped. They're vegetables. I don't care if you put it in a soup. I don't care if it doesn't have any, I don't know what to call it. I don't know, the whitewashed healthy foods of today. I'm sorry. Cultures have been surviving on white rice, beans, and salsa for hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of years. They have been surviving off corn and potatoes for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, so I don't get this whole Americanized whitewashed version of food where we think that it has to be tilapia, boiled chicken, and brown rice. What is that? Okay, some 20-year-old bodybuilder who doesn't know how to cook is teaching a bunch of moms how to eat healthier by eating spinach out of Tupperware, and it's pissing me off because y'all are missing the beauty of food. Cook a giant pot of pasta and enjoy it because I'm sorry, Italians are not complaining about the noodles making everyone fat because they're not. moderate your portions. All of these things, of course, we can talk about weight loss and eating healthy. We want to have fiber and micronutrients and plants and protein and healthy fats. Yes, all of those things. But that doesn't mean your cultural foods are bad for you. That doesn't mean having quote unquote soul food or comfort food or food that tastes good is bad for you. And it doesn't mean that eating healthier has to be boring, has to be whitewashed, has to be out of a Tupperware. One thing I hate about meal prep ideas is meal prep is always, again, like the same thing. My meal prep sometimes is making a giant tray of lasagna and having that as leftovers for the rest of the week, with salad, with veggies, with other healthful foods for the other meals, of course, but that doesn't make my lasagna unhealthy, okay? Whether it's store-bought or homemade, I make the sauce. It has protein. It has vegetables. Tomatoes are a vegetable. They're a fruit, but it has onions. It has garlic. All of those things are healthy for you. It has carbohydrates. It has some dairy. Sure, we'll talk about dairy at another episode. Lasagna is something that you will never take away from me, nor a lot of people. And yet, when you're trying to eat healthier, we think we can't have something like lasagna because it's full of cheese and noodles and, everyone always eats a big portion and it doesn't have any greens in it. Well, I add a little bit of spinach and basil and parsley, but regardless, you're allowed to eat because it tastes good. You're allowed to eat because you enjoy it. You're allowed to have an extra serving of dessert even though your tummy's a little full. You're allowed. That doesn't mean I'm telling you to be a glutton. That doesn't mean I'm telling you to overeat and indulge in all the food and there's no such thing as regulation and moderation. No, I'm telling you that one of the biggest things people struggle with when they're trying to get healthier is they think they have to give up going to holidays or going out with friends or enjoying birthday cake or having pizza night with a family. And that's why you can't stick to your diet, but also it's not necessary. It's good to have a pizza night with your family. It's good to have birthday cake. That's also part of health. Health is also society. Health is letting grandma teach you how to make the albondigas and enjoying it and knowing that it counts. So I digress. I wanted to really share these 5 food fundamentals because I believe it sets a core for how you can look at food that takes away a lot of the stress and the pressure for eating perfectly, eating only healthy foods. And again, it doesn't really tell you what to eat because it's out of my scope of practice because I'm not a registered dietitian at this point in my life. So also, by the way, if anyone except a registered dietitian nutritionist licensed through your state is telling you exactly what to eat, they are doing so illegally. So stop that and stop listening to them. If you're getting a print out meal plan from somebody other than a registered dietitian, stop that. And if you actually go see a registered dietitian, these are the principles, these are the core concepts that they will probably be teaching you. It's not going to be, we'll cut out your white rice and cut out your sugar and cut out all your caffeine and cut out this. Instead, it's, okay, so we're having an entire pot of coffee and we're not drinking any water. Okay, well, 1, coffee is water. But also let's look at, is this person hydrated? Hey, how's your urine? How's your pee? Oh yeah, my pee's dark yellow all the time. Okay, this person needs more water. Oh no, my hydration levels are great. Okay, then I probably don't need to worry about your coffee intake unless it's affecting you. Is your caffeine giving you more anxiety? Is it affecting your sleep? Is it affecting your bowels? Those are all, valid reasons to cut caffeine. But it's not up to me to just tell someone to cut caffeine because that's going to solve all your problems, because sometimes it's not, okay? If you're getting a, 300 calorie latte every day, if I tell you to all of a sudden drink black coffee, okay, that's not going to last. But what if we can cut the calories in your latte by half? That could work. Or what if we cut out one day of the latte and make a latte at home instead? Or again, there are so many ways to adjust your nutrition that has nothing to do with this black and white thinking of eat this, don't eat this, this is bad for you, this is good for you, never do this, always do this. We don't do that dichotomous black and white, bad versus good thinking here. I hope this helps. I hope this helps relieve a lot of stress from eating so you can go throughout your day to day and see how you can apply some of these principles without it overwhelming you and see what makes sense for you. So, just to wrap up here, we've got food neutrality. There's no good or bad food. Nutrients are nutrients, they are not moral. 2, addition, not restriction. We're finding ways to add to a diverse diet. No one size fits all. You can adjust your nutrition for you. Number 4, we're looking at food facts, not fear mongering. And number 5, it is okay to enjoy food. Food is more than fuel. I love you all. I hope this helps, and I will see y'all in the next one. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoy my content, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening from. If you are looking for more, you can find me at KaylaMarieFitness.com or on Instagram at KaylaMarie_fit. I do offer one-to-one nutrition counseling, starting with my new client course, Nutrition Essentials, your first 30 days. You can find out more and enroll on my website. If you're a podcast listener, use the code CARB, C-A-R-B, for 10% off your enrollment. And if you're a weightlifter, beginner, or pro, consider joining my online Lift Club, an expertly designed 12-month training program with a community chat room, weekly office hours with moi, and 4 full-body gym routines per week. We're getting strong AF without neglecting our functionality or athleticism, and I do have month-to-month options available. I will talk at you all next week. Thanks again for being here. Bye-bye for now.